Hey guys, DZ Movies here. Today we look at episode 5 of season 4 of Stranger Things. Incoming spoilers. Seat back, relax and enjoy. The episode begins in California where Mike and the rest of the gang are still on the run from government men who want to find Eleven's location at any cost. They try to get to a hospital to save the agent who was shot in the shootout, but he doesn't have much time. With his last words he tells them that Eleven is in danger and also mentions a Nina, but doesn't get to give them any address or number because he dies in their arms. Back in their California home from which they fled, General Sullivan finds the other agent guarding them wounded, who tells him that if he wants to live he must give him the girl's location. In the meantime, Eleven and Sam arrive at a secret underground location in the middle of the desert. There Eleven surprisingly meets Dr. Brenner. She is immediately paralyzed with fear but also filled with hatred in his presence. He explains to Eleven that he wants to work with her again and try to restore her powers. She doesn't think much longer and quickly runs away, caught just as quickly by the guards, after which she is given a sedative so as not to create any more problems despite her lack of powers. Jim is caught, beaten and sent back to prison, where he finds Enzo locked up, who had shared the same fate after Yuri betrayed them both. Yuri in the meantime fixes his plane and is ready to take Joyce and Murray back to the States to collect his reward on them, with which he was going to buy a new house for his family after betraying everyone. Back in Hawkins, at Max's house, Nancy is awakened by a call from Eddie, who complains that he has run out of food in his hideout. When Nancy notices that Max has disappeared, she quickly wakes Dustin, who was next in charge of guarding her but had fallen asleep. They quickly leave in search of Max but end up in the kitchen, where Max is drawing at the table with her younger sister, her father and her mother, who is preparing breakfast for the children. When Nancy looks over Max's drawings of what she remembers, she notices a pattern. Putting the drawings side by side, she notices that they form a house, but not just any house, Victor Creel's house. Dustin suggests that maybe when Vecna invaded Max's mind, maybe it somehow entered his mind. In the meantime, Eleven is trapped in a head-scratching simulation that she doesn't even know how to get out of. Her actions and activity in this situation being carefully observed by the eyes of Sam and Dr. Brenner as they debate whether or not the young girl will escape. Back in California, Mike and the others bury the agent who had just died in their arms in a junkyard. And after Mike wonders why the agent gave him a pen with which to write down Nina's number if he hadn't even written it down, he decides to take a closer look at the pen he received. He finds a phone number inside. In prison, Jim and Enzo debate their chances of getting out of the situation alive. And after a few discussions, Enzo, who at first thought they should find a way to survive together, is increasingly convinced that they will both die here. During which time Eddie's uncle is visited by officers at the trailer park to check out the crime scene and make sure there are no repercussions. But after scanning the area, the officers ask Eddie's uncle to pack up because he will be moved out of there and the area will be restricted. At Chrissy Jason's funeral along with the basketball team, they make a plan to find Eddie and the others. They make a list of all the places they could hide and go looking for them. In the meantime, Dustin and the rest of the gang arrive at Victor's former home, now abandoned. They manage to break down the door and enter. After a quick check of the place, they find the clock from Max's visions, and conclude that the answers must be somewhere nearby. So they split into teams of 2 and start to search the rest of the house. Joyce and Murray are still prisoners in Yuri's plane, but as he is flying and can't hear them over the noise, they decide to come up with a plan to free themselves and get their hands on Yuri's gun, hoping to get him to turn the plane around. The action shifts to Eleven, who is trying his hardest to remember every detail of his simulation and also find his way out of it. All the while, Mike and the others still on the run manage to call the number they found but to no avail, so Mike comes up with a plan. Their only chance to reach Eleven and Owens is a hacker, from Utah. So all that's left for them to do is head to Salt Lake to find Susie. Eddie's location is almost discovered by Jason and the others, who arrive at the house where he was hiding. However, he manages to run back into the shed behind the house, and desperately tries to get in touch with Dustin. But to no avail, as he had left the radio in his backpack and left it in the front door of the house when they split up to search. In the meantime, Steve finds some strange jars and manages to break one when he gets scared by a spider. The noise is heard by Nancy and Robin, who come to his aid, he having a few moments to talk to Nancy as she helps him get rid of the spider web. In another room, Max and Lucas have a moment of their own, when they realize how much they actually miss each other, a moment quickly interrupted by a strange play of lights from all the light bulbs in the house. Back in the secret lab, Eleven continues her simulation, But when she remembers a scene in which she was surrounded by the blood of her colleagues, she goes into a state of shock, and Sam desperately screams at Brenner to get her out, but he doesn't seem to hear him. In Yuri's plane, Joyce breaks free and then gets Murray off the ropes, but they are seen by Yuri, who heads towards the two to stop them. Murray attacks him and finally manages to stop him, but leaves Yuri unconscious, and now he has no one to fly the plane. The two go ahead, but when Murray accidentally presses the buttons, he stops the propeller and they are in free fall. With a last effort in the crash, they both pull the handles, and manage to survive the fall. All the while, Max and the others are on Vecna's trail in Victor's house. They try to follow his movements, thanks to the lights going on and off in their flashlights. Eddie, as he gets no response from Dustin, takes a boat and tries to escape from Jason and Patrick with its help, but the two of them swim after him. But when they are about to catch him, the young Patrick gets stuck. Jason desperately shouts at him, but without any answer. After a few moments, he is dragged to the bottom, then lifted into the air like Chrissy and Fred, and killed by Vecna under the horrified eyes of Jason and Eddie. Back in the bunker, 11 is resuscitated, and at the first opportunity she takes off again, caught by the guards as well, only this time, she takes them all down with her newly regained powers. Seeing that this time Brenner didn't lie and managed to restore her powers, she finally agrees to stay with the hope that she will be able to save her friends. Subscribe to this channel if you want more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to turn on notification to help this channel.